Hello and welcome into this week's edition of the Citrus Preps podcast. Alongside Mike Deem, I'm Brett Knutson, and spring sports in full swing. Actually, getting towards the end of it, Mike.
Yeah, closely in a couple more weeks.
Yeah, and so we're going to start things off with. You can call him an old friend. I'm not going to call him.
He is an old friend of mine.
I'm not going to call him old. He is the head softball coach of the Dunnellon Lady Tigers, Dennis Jenkins. And Coach, thanks for taking the time to join us. I know you're getting ready to head out onto the practice field, but just real quick, talk about the season, how things are going, because it's just for the rest of us looking outside in, it's just another ho-hum year for the Dunnellon softball program.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you guys not calling me old. That's really appreciated. But we're about 2/3 of the way through our season, and again, we're unfortunately or fortunately stuck into a 6A district with Springstead and Crystal River, and it's been that way my whole 4 years, my fourth year at Dunnellon, and just really three teams that are really well evenly matched, and one team has the pitching, one team is Springstead's got decent pitching, decent fielding, decent hitting. We hit really well, and our pitcher is adequate, and our fielding is really good. So it's just everybody's got their own strong points, but it's tough to get out of that division, man. It's just a district dogfight, and we're playing well. We're 14-3 right now, and still got a couple district games left before they before they seed out the district, and every team Mike knows, he's coached many years, but every year you get your ups and downs. You have your good days, your bad days, and it's a long grind. And it's something that coaches understand, but I don't know if players really understand, because every time we win, you think we're World Series champs, and every time we lose, it's like somebody just ripped the rug out from under it. So it just it's a balance, and right now we're going through those struggles.
Yeah, Coach, you had a little bit of drop back last night. Citrus came back and got you on one game, but we talked a little bit earlier this morning when I was talking with you. Is that maybe that's a good thing or a bad thing? How do you feel about that?
Yeah, well, I liked what you said. At least it happened this time of the season. Because 2 years ago it happened that we had one of these games against Crystal River at the district finals, and that was super disheartening. It was disheartening last night, but we got practice. We're going to go to work in about a half hour. We're going to be out there working on some things that we did not do well last night, and work on our mental game. And but yeah, it was a little disheartening that that Citrus beat us. They're a good team, but by and large we're much better than we showed last night. So we beat Bellevue 2 nights before that. Bellevue's up there in the 6A rankings, and beat them 6-5. And so again, one day we play super well, and then you drop one like we did last night. But hopefully it'll be a learning curve for us, and we can turn it into a positive.
Talking to Dunnellon High head softball coach Dennis Jenkins. And Coach, you mentioned the tough district coming up with the district tournament, really not that far off. How important is it I know you don't want to look ahead and decide who you play too far in advance, but you talk about 3 strong teams. It would be awful nice to get that number 1 seed and know that you don't have to play one of those other 2 until the championship game. Is that something you talk about with your young ladies, or we just got to play our best, and wherever the seedings fall, they fall?
No, we again, this is my 4th year, and 3 years in a row we finished the number 2 seed, and we start off playing number 3, and 1 year we were successful, and 2 years we weren't. But yeah, the number 1 seed definitely got the easy path to the finals. And the way the district's set right now, if you're in the district finals, you will go on, much as Mike did in soccer for many years. The 1 seed stays home and plays. The number 2 seed goes to play somewhere else at the number 1 seed. So at least you're still advanced. So being the number 1 seed is huge, because you get stuck in the bracket with the 4 and 5 seed, and that you should not have problems covering that. But being that there's three tough teams, that's definitely the harder path to the finals, is to be a 2 or a 3 seed. or a 6 seed, because those are the three that get hooked together. So you want to, for me, I try to avoid that.
Yeah, you mentioned it, and I know you got to get going to practice, so we'll let you go on this one. I know it changes come next year, and I know that's still a year away, but the way they're going to do the postseason is going to be different. Obviously, it's a new district for your young ladies, a new format for everything. Do you like the upcoming change, or you're in the middle of the season and you don't have time to worry about it?
Yeah, well, it's something that we talk about, or I look forward to, and of course, I like to change. I always try to play. I talked to Mike about that earlier, but I always try to play a tougher schedule. We played Land O'Lakes, we played Eustis, we played Crystal River twice, Springstead twice. I played a team from Illinois that finished 4th in their state last year. So, and that's the way next year will be determined, by the strength of schedule. So, I have a really good strength of schedule this year to determine, scheduling for next year, for districting next year. So it should help us. It should definitely help us playing a tougher schedule. And the teams that typically schedule the weakest teams they can find on the planet, they're going to have a rude awakening when they get their district schedule handed to them next year. So we'll see. We have actually have a FACA meeting Monday the 15th, and the coaches, from the area get it into a meeting, and, we'll discuss all that. So that'll be next week. That'll be a topic for us next week. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I think it's good. I think it's a good change, and, much like college football.
That's right.
Change, and that thing either, but looking back over the last 5, 6, 7, 10 years, wherever it's been, I think it's been good for the sport.
It has. Well, Dennis, we appreciate your time, and I know you got to get out to practice, and we just appreciate you coming on and giving us some heads up. And we're going to probably continue to follow, maybe give you a call back when districts start.
Yeah, that sounds.
Lady Tigers, and talk about that district.